Welcome to the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Awareness Parent Information Meeting presented by Early County High School. In this meeting, we're going to answer these questions. Why are you here? What is sudden cardiac death or SCD? What are some causes? What are some prevention strategies and ways to recognize and the actions you need to take when you recognize sudden cardiac death? Why are you here? We're here because State Bill 60, Jeremy Nelson and Nick Blakely's Sudden Cardiac Arrest Prevention Act says that all Georgia schools that have one or more grades 6 through 12 shall hold an informational meeting twice per year regarding the symptoms and warning signs of sudden cardiac arrest. At such informational meetings, an informational sheet on sudden cardiac arrest symptoms and warning signs shall be provided to each student's parent or guardian. In addition to the students, parents, or guardians, coaches, and other school officials, such informational meetings include physicians, pediatric cardiologists, and athletic trainers. To this, I want to add that we're doing this meeting virtually due to COVID. Dr. Hines at the GHSA gave me permission to do this. We hope at a later date to have an in-person meeting for all parents that would like to attend. All right, let's look at what is sudden cardiac death. Cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death in young athletes. It's very rare, but when a young, previously healthy athlete dies suddenly on the playing field, communities can be devastated. Young athletes are perceived to be a healthy group of individuals, and they aren't supposed to die. As you all know, this could stir up some medical attention, discussion, and sometimes finger pointing among school personnel, coaches, administrators, parents, and physicians. We hope that this information you received today will eliminate some of this. Causes of SCD in young athletes. There are a few major categories: structural abnormalities, electrical abnormalities, trauma, and infections. By various mechanisms, these abnormalities cause the heart to beat out of control, and it is called ventricular fibrillation or VFib. This leads to an inability of the heart to pump blood to the brain, lungs, and the heart itself, causing hypoxic injury or lack of oxygen and death. This is why the pre-participation and history evaluation is so important. Okay, I want to show you this document so that you will know what to look for when your student athlete brings one home. The most important part for you is this history form. It is very important that you fill this out to the best of your ability and be as honest as you can. Don't think, well, this is a mild something and we can leave it out. All the things that you could put in here matter, okay? They're different. Most of you've probably already done these, but there's several categories and you sign it. And then this goes along with the physical exam that your doctor does for your student athlete. Just be on the lookout. One of these forms has to be filled out and signed by a doctor 1 year. They're good for 1 calendar year, okay? But most of you, if your student is in high school, you've already done this several times. Structural abnormalities. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. This is an inherited condition. It runs in some families, and it's when a family member has a history of sudden death before the age of 50. And sometimes that's the only clue. The heart muscle walls are thickened, which disrupts the flow of blood from the heart, disrupts the heart's electrical system, and leads to VFib and cardiac arrest. There's other symptoms you could read here at the bottom. And the problem with this abnormality is many times the physical exam is usually normal, but a skilled physician can detect them. And usually they're called a murmur. And we have several athletes every year who go to get their physical that they detect a murmur. So that's another reason why that physical is so important. All right, another structural abnormality is coronary artery abnormalities. This is where the arteries that supply the heart muscle itself are connected abnormally and can get compressed during exercise and don't provide adequate blood supply to the heart muscle. Again, this results in VFib and cardiac arrest. And then as the other one, sudden death is usually the only clue or initial clue. There may be a history of chest pain and syncope with exercise. Marfan syndrome is an inherited condition, so family history is a big clue. It's abnormal collagen in the aorta, which may lead to a rupture with exercise. Traits of this syndrome are tall, slender, long arms, legs, fingers, abnormal breastbone, high arch palate, extreme nearsightedness, curved spine, and flat feet. These traits in any athlete should raise suspicion of this condition. The last two are Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. This is an extra electrical pathway in the heart, which causes rapid heartbeat, leading to VFib. There's also long QT syndrome. Again, it's an inherited disorder and it has to do with the rhythm of the heart, causing fast, chaotic heartbeats, often causing fainting, which can result in VFib. It may occur in immersion of cold water, as in swimming or diving. A history of drowning or near drowning in a family member sometimes may be the only clue. Next is traumatic injuries to the heart. This is commotio cordis, and a blunt trauma to the chest from a projectile, lacrosse, baseball, or hockey. Most often it's found in baseball. Or contact sports, martial arts especially, at exactly the wrong time in the cardiac electrical cycle, which can induce VFib. More common in children, it is due to the thin, compliant chest wall. At this time, I'll show you a brief video that does a better job of explaining this. In this video, the physician discusses AEDs, and we will discuss those later.
Commotio cordis treatment centers around quick, rapid response by bystanders to give appropriate CPR and as quickly as possible defibrillation with an AED. The quicker an AED can be obtained and the athlete shocked back into a regular cardiac rhythm greatly enhances survival. There have been studies that have clearly shown the window is approximately 3 minutes. The athlete has a much higher chance of survival if the CPR and potentially the shock can be given within a 3-minute time period from their collapse. If an AED is not immediately available, CPR should be continued as 911 or emergency response is initiated until the emergency personnel can arrive to aid the athlete.
Next, we will talk about infection, myocarditis, the inflammation of the heart muscle, usually from a virus. Inflamed heart muscle can't tolerate the stress of strenuous exercise and goes into VFib. This usually comes with a recent viral illness, cold and flu symptoms, fever, and recent exercise intolerance may be a clue. Athletes with a fever or recent febrile illness should not exercise until they are afebrile, symptom-free, and have completed a gradual return to exercise program symptom-free. There has been a few studies recently of some of the damage that comes from the COVID virus and the infection and its effect upon the heart. So hopefully at a later date, we'll be able to add some of that information. Next, we're going to talk about prevention. Prevention is the best thing that we can do. And the first thing we need to do is recognize the warning signs of SCD if they occur. There's some files here that you can see. This is a great program or information sheet given out by Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, but it talks about the 3 simple steps to protect your family. Number 1, if you or your family has one of these signs, you should see your physician. Fainting suddenly without warning, unusual chest pain, family members who had a sudden, unexplained, or unexpected death before age 50, family members who have been diagnosed with a condition that could cause sudden cardiac death, such as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy or long-term QT syndrome that we discussed earlier. A seizure suddenly and without warning, especially during exercise or in response to loud noises, sounds like doorbells, alarm clocks, and ringing phones. The next thing is recognizing sudden cardiac. Basically, if you see a person collapse here, you got to assume they have had a sudden cardiac arrest and respond as quickly as possible. The doctor in the previous video gave you the information of how much greater the chance of survival is the faster people act. Then you know the rules, and we'll go over them again. And at the end, send for help, start CPR. The next thing is to learn hands-on CPR. Hands-only CPR is a more simple version of CPR that the American Heart Association came up with that doesn't have to keep up with the breath. They came to the conclusion that it's more important to keep blood flow than it is breath, because the human body can still have oxygen in its blood even if the person's not breathing. So as long as you can start CPR, the person has a greater chance of survival. And then next is the automated external defibrillators, better known as AEDs. Those are available. They're very simple to use. We teach all of this in our 9th grade health classes. And it will take you through, these AEDs will take you through a step-by-step process and will never shock the victim that does not need to be shocked. And you can learn more at the American Heart Association, and I've got that link in one of the last slides. All right, next on prevention. You want to get that yearly precipitation physical. It's very important. That's why we're bringing it up again. And the GHSA requires it. So that's another reason. The thorough history and physical exam by a skilled physician is the primary screening tools for preventing SED. That's why, again, I want to encourage you to be as honest and as thorough as possible when filling out the information. The Children's Hospital of Atlanta also suggests that we do not do pre-participation physical screenings in the gymnasium that would be discouraged in this format despite being popular. This is like we had done in the past pre-COVID, where we would do almost all of our athletes at one time. And when we discussed it back years ago with our local physicians, they thought this was their best way to help our athletes, because our athletes don't have to get appointments and take time out and this kind of things. And it puts a lot of physicians and healthcare workers here at one time that can help get them through these physicals. And for most of them, they're going to see the person they would normally see. So when COVID allows, we will go back to or relook at whether or not we want to do these based on this new information, and we will get that out to the community as fast as possible. Recognition and actions. This is I don't want to say most important, but very important. We must recognize SED. Whether you see them collapse or not, assume they are collapsed from SED. Act quickly, call for help. Be trained and certified in hands-only CPR. And this is I want to show you a quick video. It's a little humorous, but it makes a good point of teaching you how easy this hands-only CPR is.
Sudden cardiac arrest is the third leading cause of death in the United States. If recognized and treated early with hands-only CPR, the chances for a loved one's survival greatly improve. If you see a teen or an adult suddenly collapse, it's important to act fast. Helping to save a life is easier than you might think. Step number 1, have someone near you call 911 or call 911 yourself. Step number 2, get directly over the victim, put the heel of one hand in the center of the chest and put the other hand on top of the first. Then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. It's important to push at a rate of 100 beats per minute, which is the same tempo as the song Staying Alive. Remember, push to the beat of Staying Alive, and you can save a life.
Thanks for helping me stay alive.
Okay, to go back over to high points again, obtain the AED as early as possible, know how to use it. Every minute is critical. Have an emergency action plan. Rehearse it. That's for your own benefit. Have personnel assignments. One person does CPR, one goes to get the AED, one person does crowd control, make sure everybody backs up. If you got more than one person, allow them to call 911. Unlock your gates, direct EMS, that type of stuff. Make sure you know the equipment location and accessibility, and have a working phone, which with today's technology, most everyone has a cell phone. To summarize all of the information we've given you today, get the pre-participation physical done by a pediatrician 6 weeks before your season starts. That's great advice. Know accurate family history and be familiar with the warning signs and symptoms. Recognize warning signs if they occur. This is one for schools, but I put it in here. Have all coaches and personnel CPR certified and AED trained. Our coaches are. And Miss Joy Redding does a great job teaching us the AED information. Know where the AEDs are, where AED is. I've listed all of Early County high schools, and they're located at the following areas. At the backside of the concession stand at the baseball softball field, this covers the sports of baseball and softball. The hallway between the gym floor and the classrooms in the Tommy Whitehurst Gymnasium, this covers basketball, cheer, and tennis, because they can reach these from the courts. There's one in the weight room. This covers weightlifting, any workouts that are being done, and track and field. The main hallway of the high school, right up from the old gym, it covers basketball, cheer, and ROTC that may be using the old gym. There are also some located at the middle school, and I hope I can add those to this presentation later. These are some links that we have put in just so you can go to if you want more information. The NFL video here is a great one. It just was, I thought, too long to put into this presentation. Here's the second one too, of the American Red Cross hands-only CPR. There's another one about some prevention info, and this is Project Save. Project Save is another Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, where it discusses basically the same thing. It's just in more of a brochure format if you want to print it off. And then last but not least, we want to say thank you for looking at this information and attending the webinar. If you have any questions, you can call Miss Samantha Peckham, our athletic trainer. There's her information, or you can email her, or you can contact me, Craig Storey. I'm the athletic director at Early County High School, and there's my number or my email. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Again, we hope to have an in-person meeting later on in the year. And last but not least, thank you again for attending.